So, my last live stream, we uh, we took a break from the trial exhibits, but we still covered the Google monopoly situation. Kind of. We went through their code red and their code yellow procedures. What the fuck does that mean? So I'll link that in the description of this video if you want to know more about that. But basically, it's just um, procedures for what they do when they want to work on specific issues based on how they want to prioritize that yellow versus red. Um, so yeah, go check out the description of the video. I mean, the link in the description. It might get moved to the comments. And that has more info about that. But yeah, basically, fucking code. The biggest difference though between the code red and code yellow is the urgency and the priority, as well as the length of the time that the process lasts. And then in that video, I went through different sources on the procedures and what that means as it relates to what happened. So I obviously don't know the truth on all of that because I'm not fucking there. But yeah, that's my reaction to what the information out there is about that. Am I making sense? That's not a good description. But anyway, yeah, good enough. You know what the fuck I mean. And so before that, we had also left off on I think we've done 46 trial exhibits so far in the search monopoly case on Google. So there's two cases against Google right now. There is the search monopoly case. I'm trying to get out of the way of the sun. There's the search monopoly case in Judge Mehta's court, Mehta. And then there is also the ad technology monopoly case, and that is in Judge Brinkema's court, Brinkema. So, yeah. The search monopoly case that was initially filed in 2020, the court proceedings mostly kind of happened around 2023, but some initial decisions have been made recently, and some stuff has been coming out again about that. And then the ad technology monopoly case. Oh, and on the search monopoly case, my bad, they were found guilty of that. The ad technology case, that initial complaint was filed 2023. The court proceeding is happening just around now-ish, but I don't know the exact date. But sometime recently. Um, fucking and and yeah, so that just fucking is happening. Just happened. I don't really know. Uh, but and we're gonna cover that next. So yeah, that was originally filed in 2023. Court's happening now. Decisions, I don't know when those will be made, but those will be happening too. So we're going to cover both cases. Um, in the last case, in the last live, we got through 8 trial exhibits. So we'll recap those. So I'm going to roll my intro. We'll do our recap of the last trial exhibit stream that we did. And then we will just keep seeing how many more I can cover right now. I don't know if I'll be able to go live tomorrow. I'll try, but I have something I need to go to, so I don't know if I'll be able to go live tomorrow. But yeah, so and I don't really have that much time technically to be going live today, but fuck yeah, I figured I would just do it for a little bit. Watch me go for 3 hours again. And yeah, whatever. Fuck it. Okay. So, I'm gonna roll my intro and then we're gonna do this bitch and we'll just keep doing this thing. Also, I'm thinking about testing out Twitch. I haven't decided like because I don't want to just end my coverage that I've been my plans that I have already laid out for YouTube either though. So I'm trying to just solidify the plan for coverage. What I think I'm gonna do is do what I was gonna do on TikTok on Twitch because there's like a lot of drama that's been happening on TikTok anyway, so I've stopped going live on TikTok because it's just like I don't want to have to mentally moderate or referee any bullshit in my space. If I'm not, anyway. But so yeah, fucking, I think I might do it like that, but we'll see. Okay, so anyway, look for that maybe. I don't know. All right, let me know if you would follow me over there on Twitch if you use Twitch. Anyway, okay, let's do this thing. Hi, my name is Alexis, also known as Lexi or Deaf Child. I was born deaf, hard of hearing. I began doing business as Deaf Child 2013, marketing 2011, sales 2009. I've earned 50 plus certifications in marketing and sales. My Bachelor of Science from Loyola University, New Orleans, with a music industry studies major and a business administration minor. Deafness runs in my family genetically. Speech is not fully accessible to me. Anyway, I'm here to bitch about whatever the fuck is on my mind. So here we go. Visit my site at noladeafchild.com. Drinking my coffee. So, the last stream we got through 8 trial exhibits. So we got through a lot of the trial exhibits are kind of about the same thing, but in different aspects. So I'm going to be a little repetitive. But so first we went through the email from Jeff Sardell of Google to Sundar Pichai of Google. I don't know who the fuck Jeff Sardell is, to be honest, but I know Sundar Pichai is like the CEO. Regarding an Apple EMG deal review from June 4th, 2007, with the attached Google presentation regarding Apple and their search partnership of 2007. And so at this point, the presentation kind of showed like, in my opinion, how much money like they were making together in relation to all of that. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the email kind of was discussing the agreement. So they were basically saying that they would do the revenue share with them if they were getting the default placement, and the presentation had some further details about that, I think, and I also think it had some redacted numbers based on the revenue as well, if I'm not mistaken. And then after that, we looked at another email from Tom Oliveri of Google to Sundar Pichai of Google. I think this is what we did. Yeah, we totally did. And I honestly don't know who the fuck Tom Oliveri is. Again, Sundar Pichai, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I apologize. But Sundar Pichai is the CEO. And so they were talking about a Nexus launcher without a quick search box from 2016. So I don't know for sure what the fuck Nexus launcher is, because I'm not like that into the technology aspect of the development side of this stuff. But from what I understand, it's, for lack of better words, like essentially a platform or a way of that they use, a system of coding that creates a platform that they use to produce and launch apps and things like that, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's what it is, but I could be, probably am wrong. And the QSB just stands for a quick search box. So they were discussing, you know, the importance of the quick search box, and that is like that bar. So like on my phone, when I pull up my phone, there's, you see this is the quick search bar box. I just said bar, but I meant to say box. I'm out of it. This is the quick search bar box, whatever the fuck it's called. Actually, does it even fucking matter? It's the same fucking thing. Whatever. The QSB. And so that is, you know, part of what they were discussing in that agreement. The default setting and the importance of the QSB in relation to revenue is, I believe, what was discussed in this email, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Google presentation, this was basically outlining the difference between the MADA and the RSA, which are the Android commercial agreements. So the MADA stands for Mobile Application Distribution Agreement, and the RSA stands for Revenue Share Agreement. So with the Mobile Application Distribution Agreement, that basically locked them into um, bundling with some of the apps and discussed ways that things had to be presented when they used their apps for compliance and quality and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that wording is kind of what gets used in order to control the display aspect. And then the revenue share agreement is what locks people into the default settings and the exclusivity in order to receive the revenue, in my opinion, basically. And I believe, the presentation kind of further showed the differences between the two agreements and outlined that a little better. And this is probably a very terrible scenario, but yeah. And then next up, we looked at a Google presentation regarding Microsoft on Android scenarios, and this is from 2017. And if I remember correctly, I believe this is basically just projections on um, what could Bing's market share and growth look like with or without Google's existence or growth, in my opinion, basically. Or what would it look like with Microsoft being what would it look like, if Microsoft Bing was on Android devices, had more of a foothold there than Google type thing, if I remember correctly, was kind of like what they were exploring in that scenario. Um, and then, and these would be like, them doing a Google presentation regarding Microsoft on Android searches. I believe these are things that are put into the trial exhibits to kind of show how Google was using specific agreements to prevent specific things that they thought could happen from happening type things, in my opinion. But I could be wrong about that, but like, that's just kind of like the energy I get from the way it's all kind of presented. And then we looked at an email from Tim Carter to Chris Barton regarding platforms of 2011. And I think this one further also touched on the MADA and RSA, if I'm not mistaken. Um, let's see, I actually forgot which one was this. Oh, yeah. So this is the one where they were saying, without the exclusivity, we're not getting anything. So they were literally saying there's no point in doing a deal without the exclusivity. Um, you know what I mean? In that email. And so, and then we also looked at, I think we looked at this one too, the deal review notes from that. Yeah, I think we looked at these three things. So we also looked at the deal review notes, and in the deal review notes, they were basically saying, um, you know, that what they were negotiating, this is where they were further hammering down the negotiation points with Apple, and that came up a few different times because in one of the things that we looked at, I don't really remember which is what now, but one of the things we looked at, they were discussing in the email chain, yes, we sent the email with this offer. You know what I'm saying? But before that, the other discussions from it, when we put it in the consecutive order, um, were regarding the aspect of like, okay, what are we going to negotiate and why? So they were exploring in this document, going through the deal review notes, they were discussing why they were saying, look, we're going to do revenue share for the exclusivity in the default settings. And if we don't get the exclusivity in the default settings, then we don't get revenue share. And another reason that this conversation was so relevant too is so between the 2007 updates, which was the original agreement, and then the later one, and I forget the exact year, but I think it was like 2016 or 2018 or something like that. The difference is in those two agreements, when they were negotiating for the renewal in that second, I don't know if it was the second term, but the second thing that we saw in the exhibits, on the second exhibit we saw, when they were negotiating for that renewal, they were fucking, basically, Apple was basically trying to get revenue share agreement for the option on Safari. And Google was like, there's no point in a revenue share agreement unless we have the default setting. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken. So that was another thing, that was another aspect of the conversation taking place in these things as well. And then yeah, and so then the next thing we looked at was an email from Jamie Rosenberg of Google to Jim Calatorros of Google. Honestly, I have no clue what the fuck that means regarding so the TAC meeting. I think that's target acquisition cost meeting, where they attach Google presentation on Android agreements to summary of current MADA and the revenue share agreement. And so this one, they were basically saying we were going to have a meeting, then they decided not to have a meeting, and they attached the same. It's basically the same presentation that we had looked at before, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, on the Android agreement. But then fucking there's also another there was a different document in there too. I think it further broke down the difference between the MADA and the RSA in there as well. And yeah, fucking, and I think that they were just basically saying we don't really need to have this meeting, but it was just going to be about, again, if I'm not mistaken, um, about these deals. Um, and so, yeah, it was basically a plan for, right here it talks about the expirations dates of the MADA and the RSA are the first two things listed. As well, the ACC, I forget what the fuck it stands for specifically, but it is related to the Android commercial agreements and contracts as well. So yeah, so that's like what they were discussing, meeting about that, and then canceling that meeting. Fucking in that documentation, but yeah, it's relevant. I feel like, where they were able to show that it's relevant would probably could be perhaps where they're talking about the expiration, like, of these deals being the reason, being tied into their target acquisition costs. You know what I'm saying? That could be argued in the monopolization argument potentially, in my opinion, but I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. All right, and then the last thing that we had looked at last time, we did go through a lot in this shit. My bad. Was we did go through this email from John Yu of Google to Ben Fridson of Google regarding a request from Philip. I don't even know who the fuck Philip is, but this is just another one of those things where we went through the overview of the MADA and RSA terms over here. And they had presentations on that, and there's also a cheat sheet in here. And so, yeah, fucking, I think this one is just one of those ones where they were, kind of further going through the differences um, between, the MADA to RSA, and what you get and get out of all of that, what you get and give out of all of that. And they also kind of broke that down by the components as well. Um, so, yeah, and I think that would just be relevant just to kind of prove, in my opinion, how the MADA and the RSA does kind of lock you into default settings and exclusivity. And I do feel like, if I remember correctly, somewhere in these trial exhibits, we came across some wording where we saw that that was the intention, and they admitted that in their internal communications. You know what I'm saying? And that is relevant because in a different trial exhibit, a few live streams prior, if I'm not mistaken, someone else from Google had basically said, well, we never technically locked them into exclusivity or default settings because they could have just not done the agreement with us. You know what I'm saying? Was kind of like their argument. But then, yeah, but then fucking Apple and all of them were basically like, dude, we kind of had to do that because, like, fucking, we would lose so much money if we didn't, that it wouldn't be sustainable. It's kind of like what they were saying. You know what I mean? Because, like, they were relying on that money at that point. So yeah. Um. So I apologize. It's like a 15 fucking minute recap. But you know what? I feel like that was important to process because that's why I try not to go through too much in each live stream, because it's just so much to process. But it's important because understanding how this business was built brick by brick in the way it was, in my opinion, is instrumental for anybody who wants to understand in America what has been the way in which we receive and find information. Um, as well as for all businesses, this is going to impact marketing for every fucking business with what happens with the end results. So I do think that, like, everybody should be paying attention to this, in my opinion. That's just me. Um, so yeah, fucking okay. So next up, um, we're gonna check out trial exhibit number UPX0146, and this is a Google presentation, an Android commercial agreement. It's executive discussion is what it says right here, from January 2020, and it's dated November 3rd, 2023. So it's a presentation on Android commercial agreements. It says executive discussion, October 2020. I will point this out every time. I am still fucking amused when I see it says privileged and confidential, and here I am, like, all right, everybody, can you see this clearly? Anyway, so it shows some graphs here, but the data in here is redacted. But it says Android channeled redacted percentage of search revenue to Google TTM through September 20. And it says source query nav data unavailable for October 1st, 2017 through October 17th, 2017. So this shows fourth quarter of 2017 to the third quarter of 2018. And it says 76.1, but it's redacted. But I'm assuming that is $billion, but I could be wrong. Then it says fourth quarter 18 to third quarter 2019. It says 89.5. Maybe it's millions, but I think it could be billions. And we should Google that. Oh, God. Anyway, fourth quarter 2019 and third quarter 2020, 93.9. I don't know the amount. It's just like a dollar sign. It says 93.9. I know it's not $93. I don't think it's $93,000. I don't know if it's 93 million or 93 billion. I think it could be billion. I wouldn't be surprised if I was wrong and it was million, but I think it's billion. If we're talking revenue and not profit, I'm thinking billion. If we're thinking profit, maybe million, but just revenue alone. Anyway, so the rest of that shit's redacted, so I can't really read it. But next up, this, whatever the fuck this slide is supposed to be, it says redacted except for one title label here that would have been operating equipment manufacturer revenue share and access points, TTM, through September 20th. Why am I saying 20th? September 2020. And so fucking, yeah. It's a redacted. I'm assuming it's a graph though, but I feel like that's relevant, just to kind of show how much revenue that the revenue share agreements and the access points that the OEMs relied on as well, and how the whole because the fact that the OEMs, the mobile carriers, and even other competitors are now basing their business models with reliance on the revenue share from Google. I do feel that is definitely showing how they're able to monopolize the situation, because now they've got the control over any reason that they might that they could have become irrelevant. They found a way to control it. You know what I'm saying? Um, But yeah, and then so here it's showing carrier revenue share and access points. And so yeah, TTM through September 2020. And so yeah, it's redacted, but it shows the top carriers from Verizon to T-Mobile, AT&T, Sprint, all the others, but I'm not gonna list it. Fuck it. Um, but yeah, so that literally like ties back to what I was thinking to me. Anyway, and then it shows MADA version 2019 update rolling out now. 1+1 year contract. And it shows the Google Play Store plus preloaded apps with icons. Non-deletable apps are Google Search, Google Chrome, YouTube, Gmail, and Google Maps. And then the readable apps are Google Photos, Google Drive. I don't know what this is. Some type of Google Movie situation, I guess. What is this? WhatsApp? That's not WhatsApp. Duo? Is that what the fuck they call it? Some video thing. I don't even know what the fuck this was. Is this the old YouTube Play Store thing? Or music thing? Or the YouTube music thing? I don't know. And then this says placement, services, and integrations. And then it's got 3 other logos here. I don't know what the fuck those are. Don't care. Then it says policies. And it says added a preload policy and added a build expiration. And then it shows regulatory pressure. EC raised objections with compatibility requirements, ACC, and bundling of apps in MADA. I honestly don't know what the fuck EC stands for. I don't even know what the fuck ACC stands for. But, you know what? Is it the Android compatibility commitment or some shit like that? Is that it? I don't know. But the ACC was ties into the MADA and the RSA because that's the thing where they make you sign that saying like if you're using their shit, then they get to make sure it's compatible, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, fucking. And so then it says enable operating equipment manufacturers to build non-compatible devices alongside compatible devices. Um, and so it shows a non-compatible version versus a compatible version of a phone here. And then it says stop trying search and Chrome. Oh, stop tying, not trying. Stop tying search and Chrome to play. So they're saying being able to use your Google Play Store. So yeah, that's another thing. Certain apps are bundled to the Play Stores, and you have to have the Play Store to put apps on the phone. You know what I'm saying? So that's another way that they have the monopolization there. So part of what they're saying with the regulatory pressure is to stop tying the search in Chrome to the Play, and to stop tying Chrome to search. And then they're showing a remedy for one agreement into 4 new business model. So the MADA would go into EMADA, whatever the fuck that means. There'd be 2 separate licenses for Google Search and Google Chrome, or there could be a placement agreement with one or both, or something like that. And it says charge license fee. Per EEA device activation, one rate card, non-negotiable by country device tier, effective February 1st, 2019. So no, there's a period between October 2018 and February 2019 will have a net cash outflow. And then it's pay bounty. Per EEA device activation, 2 rate cards, negative country device tier, effective October 29, 2018. So yeah, so I guess they're saying because of pressure, regulatory pressure, with the bundling of these apps, they created a separate business model as well based on licensing fees that haven't fully processed yet. I believe here is what they're saying. And so then we also have, but I guess that wouldn't be retroactive for the prior agreements are in, huh? Anyway, so then it says the overview of target acquisition cost trends on Android, but it's redacted here. And then it shows sizing revenue share agreement mandated search access points. So partly redacted here. It's regarding the 2016 Android revenue by access point. That graph is redacted. And then it's, yeah, there's another graph under here that's redacted too, so I kind of can't really tell what the fuck's about, to be honest. But it does show on the left here an example of search access points of a Google Chrome, Google search box, Google icon, and then the difference between the Google Chrome icon as well as the Samsung browser here. So I guess I don't know the context of that because it's redacted, but whatever. Um, and then it's showing considering value of MADA plus revenue share agreement. And this shows the consideration versus the value attribution. So for the MADA and the RSA, so for search, they're looking for a lower target acquisition cost. And I don't even know what the fuck 3POS means. They're also looking for their access point protections, their revenue share agreements, and the uplift in search behavior. So those are their considerations. And I don't even know what the fuck these value attributions mean. Um, Basically, I think, I think they're saying that they're looking to increase their target acquisition cost savings. So they're looking to spend less on acquiring customers. They are looking to increase their market share in search, and they're looking to increase the amount of searches that they're getting. So regarding the assistant considerations, the display home screen, hot words, and out-of-the-box enablement exclusivity provisions. So literally Google is, again, in my opinion, in their document saying they're doing this for the exclusivity. So yeah, and then the value attribution is they expect more discoverability and usage of themselves. You know what I'm saying? So regarding preloads and placement of other apps, including Chrome, so they are wanting Chrome in the hot seat and the default setting. And for the operating equipment manufacturers to have Gmail, Photos, Keyboard, Calendar as the default, Messenger in the hot seat and default, as well as Duo on the display home screen for a higher revenue share rate. And the value is distribution cost savings and increased usage of Google Apps. And then other intangibles. So their consideration is they get to ensure quarterly security updates for a healthy ecosystem. So the revenue share agreement provides penalty for non-compliance. See what I'm saying? So they don't get paid as much, in my opinion, if they don't do what Google wants. You know what I'm saying? And the value, difficult to quantify benefit to ecosystem and increased user trust. I would say this is decreasing user trust, but that's just my opinion. And then it shows a redacted words or graph or something, but it would have shown the MADA plus RSA economics, their revenue at risk. So I'm wondering if they were showing how much money they stand to lose without these agreements. And then next, there's a redacted either slide, words, or graph or something, but the title would have been, what is the scope of the Revenue Share Agreement 2.0 deal coverage? And again, I like reading these titles because to me it shows like, what was Google trying to present and what were they thinking? And from this, you can often see where the government was still able to argue specific points. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Next up, they show a timeline here between 2005 and 2017. And it's labeled Revenue Share as Investment Vehicle for Google's Mobile Strategy. Google's evolving strategy for mobile, incrementally layered into revenue share agreement requirements. The timeline. For 2005, the milestone is that Google acquired Android operating system. For 2006, the milestone is that Samsung deal for the mobile search. In 2008, there was the HTC Dream launch with T-Mobile. 2009, we've got the revenue share deals for mobile search and Android began with U.S. carriers. 2012, revenue share renegotiations began to lower 16% effective target acquisition costs. 2017, new revenue share agreement template rollout with assistant and Android update requirements. And then it shows the strategic initiative covered by the revenue share agreement. So first, the mobile search distribution, search placement and defaults on mobile devices. Secure placement for mobile search and defaults originally began as operating system agnostic distribution agreements with operating equipment manufacturers and carriers to accelerate Google mobile adoption. Today, revenue share agreement secures all preloaded browser search defaults. 2. Promotion of mobile. Smartphones as next-gen platform. Investments into partner-led promotion of Google's mobile search experience. Incentivize Google-defined out-of-box experience despite OS customizations. 3. Assistant and coverage. Investment into assistant distribution and placement. Expand coverage to other strategically important partners or regions. So, here we can see they're basically showing that the RSA agreement was the way Google dominated on mobile and how they were able to ensure that people going from using primarily computers and laptops devices, those things like PCs, that their transition to using phones for their internet browsing was still based on Google, you know what I'm saying, where they maintained that market share. They did so through the revenue share agreement, and it's basically kind of laid out in Google's own timeline. Is they're saying this is how we did it, you know what I mean? And so then it's showing another timeline here, and it's saying the history of search revenue share on Android. Google gets have evolved over the year to reflect changing priorities. So what they're saying is what they asked for in their contracts has changed to be, has changed based on what they are prioritizing at specific times. So their priority between 2005 and 2008 was mobile search distribution. Between 2008 and 2017, it was Android growth and search distribution. And then between 2017 and the time that this was made, I think it was 2020, but I could be wrong, it was assistant and Android health. So yeah, they're showing the key milestones here. Are these the same key milestones? Yes, these are the exact same key milestones that we read in the last slide, so I'm not going to repeat the key milestones, but we're going to go into the details now. So between 2005 and 2008, there was a mobile search distribution deals began with Samsung in 2006, platform agnostic, with a bookmark to Google's mobile search services, I can't speak, on phones with a browser to drive growth of Google usage on mobile. And then it's redacted. And then it says platform agnostic deals as smartphone market. And then between 2008 and 2017 details, it says, following September 2008 launch of HTC Dream, the first commercial Android device launch, search revenue share deals were pitched to global top 7 carriers at 2009 MWC to 1. Promote Google mobile search on smartphones with the promise that revenue would be shared at redacted on 3POS Android redacted. Okay. And then it says, revenue share deals for mobile search included Android distribution terms in order to offer financial incentive to grow Android base as well as mobile search distribution. Starting in 2012, BD teams began renegotiating revenue share rate down to current redacted while removing 3POS terms as Android gains traction. Point of contention with carrier partners due to 2009 promise of sharing redacted of the upside. I don't know what the fuck BD teams means, but I'm assuming business development. And then from 2007 to the time that this was made, the details say new template for revenue share developed to reflect current priorities. 1. Assistant distribution with device home screen exclusivity. And 2. Security updates to improve Android ecosystem health. Current revenue share agreement terms approved by BC for expanded 51 operating equipment manufacturer and carrier partners, globally up from 16, approved from October 2016. Status: 13 partners currently in deal folder or approved. Pushback from partners due to 1. Cost of security updates, and 2. Global deal coverage not reflective of assistant localization. And then, last but not least, it says revenue share is an effective vehicle for aligning priorities with partners. New generation of deals, revenue share agreements, to tackle modern challenges. 1. Assistant distribution. And 2. Security and health of Android ecosystem. Security and health of Android ecosystem really just sounds like the security and health of Google, but because Android is based on Google Play Store, so it's Android too, I guess. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you're trying to control somebody and then you're like, no, I'm doing what's best for you, but you're not really doing what's best for them. You just want to control them. It's kind of like Tangled, where Rapunzel's mother, Gothel, whatever the fuck her name, is just taking care of the hair for the youth shit. I'm not explaining that right. But, to stay young or whatever, basically. And so, and yeah, fucking, I'm just trying to control her because of some witchcraft shit. But, yeah. Alright, so moving on. It shows recent changes to the MADA and RSA. And it shows the difference between the MADA license to operating equipment manufacturers to distribute Google apps and the RSA, but under that, it's redacted. So I wonder what the fuck they put to want to redact it, because they've already told us what the RSA means. Like, Anyway, so under the MADA for the changes, I guess they didn't want us to know what the biggest change was there. For search, they were going to try and add a search intent set to Google, but they said they removed it to reduce pressure. And then a quick search box or bar, whatever fuck, on a is it a display or a device? Who cares? Home screen challenged in Europe. And in Russia, Chrome widget presents user with a choice of default search. Assistant provisions. This is new. So the assist intent defaults to Google. Long press and touch on home button triggers assist intent. Google hot word enabled, and Google has access to the device or display who gives a fuck or DSP home button. Oh, what the fuck am I saying? My bad. And Google has access to DSP. Home button animation for assistant is a totally different concept. And then it says, the fuck is that? 200? What? 200BE? I don't know. Screens for assistant? I don't know enough about this shit. Oh, out of the box experience. Bro, dude, I'm stupid. No. Okay, that's ableist. Alright. 2 out of the box experience screens for assistants. My bad. Apps. 11 apps. You know what? I'm gonna fucking drink my coffee. Apps. 11 apps preloaded in folder on the device home screen. Now, 5 of those will be deletable by the user. So the Chrome preload challenge is challenged in Europe. And then we have the Play Store on the device home screen. So the Play preload is required is challenged in Europe. And so regarding health, which is new, they are doing quarterly security updates. And then for the revenue share agreement, the change there is redacted, which I think is interesting. But for search, it says search intents and defaults. Device exclusivity went to the device home screen exclusivity in Europe, Turkey, Korea, and placement only in Russia to reduce pressure. It says Chrome and Hotsy and default new. No 3P search and assistant on -1 new. Assistant provisions, which is new. Out of the box experience screens for assistant. Restrictions for the device home screen placement and out of the box enablement of 3P and carrier assistance. For apps, which is new and optional, they've got defaults for calendar, Gmail, photos. I don't know what the fuck RCS is. Oh, is that messaging? As well as Duo on DHS. And then for health, which is new, they've got the quarterly security updates. And then another thing is redacted there. And then it shows the overview of Android ecosystem incentives. And this gives us deferring incentives of ecosystem constituents, reduced adoption of Google's initiatives. So yeah, so they're saying if people don't agree with the healthy ecosystem bullshit line, then they're less likely to do what Google wants, is what I think they're basically saying, in my opinion. Anyway, so for consideration regarding operating OS distribution, Google has strong considerations as enables timely iteration on mobile innovations. Operating equipment manufacturer, I don't even know what they mean by like strong, medium strong, low, or neutral, but I guess they mean like they put like I guess they mean like their willingness to adopt. I don't know. Their willingness to have the agreement. You know what I mean? Like how likely are they to commit? So yeah, so Google, they're strongly likely to commit because they get a lot out of all of this, is what they're saying right here. They're saying the operating equipment manufacturer, so the Google for the operating OS distribution, they're likely to commit because it enables timely iteration on mobile innovations. The operating equipment manufacturers, they're kind of likely to commit because of an incentive to sell new and differentiated devices. The carriers are less likely to commit because it's not going to be as profitable as support and testing costs increase. But the consumer probably won't give a shit because the majority of users are agnostic to the version of the OS. So by agnostic in here, I guess they just mean indifferent, neutral, don't give a fuck. So yeah. And then for security updates, Google has strong consideration because this secures the phone to develop user trust. Operating equipment manufacturers probably don't care because the cost increase, but positive for brand experience. Um, Carrier, they probably are likely to commit-ish because the testing costs increase, but it's important for their business-to-business sales. And the consumer is probably concerned because they may incur data costs in low Wi-Fi regions. But yeah, they probably concerned about their security. But they don't like the expense. And then for Google search functionality, obviously Google has strong commitment to this because it's their main source of revenue and it expands access points coverage. Operating equipment manufacturers probably don't care because they're agnostic to the provider and they accept the highest bid. Carriers probably don't care because they're agnostic to the provider and they accept the highest bid. And the consumer, they're probably neutral to the browser and apps that allow access to search. And regarding OPA distribution and promotion, Google has strong consideration because of continued interaction with OPA increases usage or stickiness. So I don't know what they mean by OPA here. Let's Google that. None of this sounds right to me. I have no fucking clue. Good luck. Don't know. Anyway, so operating equipment manufacturer, they probably have low incentive to whatever the fuck the distribution and promotion agreement is because They're probably agnostic to the provider, but they will accept the highest bid or promote their own. Um, Carrier is the same, but then the consumer, they probably are very low because nascent technology, is that nascent? Nascent? I don't know how to fucking say that. As of yet, with many options. Um, so yeah, I guess it just means they got a lot of options to for I don't even know what the fuck OPA means though. So like, or is that organic search or paid ad search? Like, I don't know. Like, because they'll be putting like PA for paid ad search, you know. But then I'm like, I don't know what the fuck the OPA means. Okay. So then Google app placements. For Google, they care a lot about this because of reduced distribution costs and increasing revenue opportunity. Operating equipment manufacturers don't give a shit because they're agnostic to the provider and they accept the highest bid or promote their own. The carrier, they're agnostic to the provider, but they'll accept the highest bid or promote their own. The consumer, 3P apps could provide similar functionality or service. Apparently, who knows? So yeah, and then it says why are we expanding RSA coverage and what are we changing? So, they cover strategically important regions and partners plus assistant distribution. That's what that means. Partner plus assistant. Okay. Operating partners and assistants. Is that what they meant? Distribution. Okay. So, expand deals to cover high growth and strategically important regions such as Japan. High growth regions, for example, BRIIM. Honestly, I don't know what the fuck that means. So essential to sustain feature Google search growth. RSA affords search preload exclusivity and incentive for partners to promote Google services. Offer incentive to partners in iOS strong regions such as Japan to promote Google and Android. Share loss directly increases search and Google distribution costs. Partner expansion to reflect changing ecosystem dynamics. Top Chinese operating equipment manufacturers catching up, contributing redacted of Android shipments and redacted. Competitors aggressively targeting rising operating equipment manufacturers due to lack of exclusivity provisions afforded via the revenue share agreements. Secure assistant experience on Android. Revenue share agreement affords Google Forward Assistant experience. Assistive device services. Assistive services is nascent industry with increasing competition. Low margin handset business incentivizes, operating equipment manufacturers to strike distribution deals. For example, HTC's deal with Alexa, Nokia in discussions with Alexa. Revenue share agreement secures device home screen exclusivity of OPA. I don't know what the fuck the O means in the OPA. Is that operating partner and assistant distribution? Operating partner assistance? Maybe. I don't know. Then it says incentivize security updates and ecosystem defragmentation to provide positive user experience for assistants. I said assistants, but it was assistant. Oops. Increasing data needs for assistive services requires user trust. Assistant experience improved via other Google app deep links afforded via defaults and preloads. And then it shows RSA Lite approach could save redacted in 2017 through 2020 if rolled out widely. And then it's redacted here, and it shows some notes. 1. Under Revenue Share Agreement Lite, existing devices would receive revenue share on grandfathered terms or installed base. Then it's redacted. Then 2. January and February of 2014 excluded from access point calculation due to unavailability of information. 3. Carrier rankings dependent on client ID. Non-revenue share partners would not have an associated client ID and therefore excluded from rank. And some notes under that slide, it says, August looks mostly flat. The flat progress is due to some devices on quarterly cadence and Samsung dropping some models. Overall, without any additional support through APE/BD, I don't know what the fuck that means, program management, We believe we can make some progress with Exec escalations, but we'll need support of initiatives like Revenue Share and Magic Wand to make the next level of progress. Maybe we'll process that later. And then it shows Revenue Share light considerations. And it says require and only pay on 3P browser defaults. And it shows advantages. And it says redacted of search revenue on Android devices flows through AGSA and Chrome. MADA access points, even on Samsung devices. Potential target acquisition cost savings over 3 years, between 2017 through 2020, from top partners are estimated at redacted. Due to regulatory pressure in Europe, Korea, and potentially Japan, we may have to take AGSA and Chrome out of MADA in the medium to long term. Might be good to start selling partners expectations that we, in the current revenue share agreement deal, will not be paying for the MADA covered access points. Assistant requirements were weakened due to regulatory constraints and might have to dilute them further if carriers start challenging our treatment of Amazon and Cortana apps. Can use target acquisition cost savings to structure a separate program specifically for assistant. We have security updates provisions in the MADA, so taking them out of the revenue share agreement would not leave us without coverage. We could have a more targeted security updates and incentives programs to accelerate the change in partner behavior. Negotiations are progressing slowly. It might be a good point to pivot. And then it shows risks and concerns. And it says we estimate that we have to pay redacted gross revenue share for the 3P browsers to be competitive, which might create misaligned expectations that we will also pay redacted on Google access points if the MADA is dismantled, or if its introduced carriers might expect redacted across the board. Assistant does not generate sufficient revenues yet. We might have to include minimum guarantees, bounties, or transaction revenues to be competitive. And then this next part is redacted, and then it says carriers only started active negotiations 5 weeks ago regarding risks and concerns. And then this last slide here is redacted, but it is labeled RSA Economics, Revenue at Risk, Samsung Example. So here, it seems that they're going through the pros and cons of how hard they want to push on this deal. And they even outline the considerations of what are the benefits that Google gets out of this versus what are the pros and cons for the operating equipment manufacturers, for the carriers, and for the consumers. And they were taking all of this into consideration when they went into their deal with their negotiations. And in my opinion, that was, kind of the point of this presentation for their Android commercial agreements. So yeah, so let's look at another one, shall we? I think I got time to look at one more thing today before I gotta go. So next up, we're gonna look at exhibit number UPX 0149. If this is short enough, maybe I can do another. It says email from Helen Tsao, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, of Google to Android. What the fuck am I saying? Am I saying Android? To Andrew, God, my bad, to Andrew Hung of Samsung, et al. Notice of RSA Section 2.4 violation, notice number 3, February 10th, 2018. So I'm like, notice, we ain't gonna pay you as much money, bitch. Get your shit together. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. And then it says November 27, 2023. So, yeah. And so this is the notification of breach, notice number 3. And it's to Android Hong and Steve Lee of Samsung. And it's got other Samsung and Google people copied. And it's from Helen Tsao, I believe, of Google. And the subject is Notice of Revenue Share Agreement Section 2.4 violation, notice number 3. And before we continue, I just want to remind you guys, if you are near Houston, Texas, thinking about getting a tattoo, go check out Ink by Cast Tattoo at the VHO Studio in Pasadena, Texas. Thank you. email says here, Dear Andrew and Steve, on February 10th, 2018, we discovered that Samsung used a client ID of which Google pays Samsung shared net ad revenue on a Samsung device not qualified for revenue share in violation of Section 2.4 of the Google Mobile Revenue Share Agreement, RSA, dated July 1st, 2017. The details of the device model are below. Then it shows the device model, the model name J2 2018, the model number SMGT50F, the serial number R58K105S5KW, and the launch date January 2018, new qualified device. Then it says this device model does not meet the search access point criteria for new qualified devices as outlined in line 2 of Exhibit B of the RSA. And then it's redacted. And then it's got another exhibit here. It says Exhibit F, requirements for quick access panel or drop-down menu or bookmarks. But that's redacted. But 3 elements here that are not redacted. So for quick access panel, it says no new alternative service shall be added on the quick access panel of the company proprietary browsers. For drop-down menu, it says Google search shall be the default in the drop-down menu, but alternative services may be present. And then for bookmarks, did I say with instead of while? Oops. For bookmarks, it says no new alternative services shall be added on the bookmarks of the company proprietary browsers. And then next slide's redacted. And then that's it. So yeah, they're basically like, fuck you, bitch, give me the money. You know what? I think I do got time for maybe 1 or 2 more. And so next up, we got exhibit number UPX0150. And this is an email from Anna Kartasheva of Google to Jamie Rosenberg of Google regarding carrier RSAs from November 5th, 2020. And it's dated, it was uploaded November 10th, 2023. And so I am so sorry. I don't know if I'm saying this right. I don't know. I'm definitely probably not saying Kartasheva right. I am so sorry. And I don't know if this is an Anna or an Anna. You know what? Maybe I should assume it's an Anna because like Kartasheva, Anna, right? 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 So I apologize. I'm gonna, but if I'm getting that wrong, fuck, I just put myself in the fucking eye, dude. The shit, that fucking annoying. Okay. Stop. God, that's really annoying. Consolation coffee. So the message is from Anna Kartasheva of Google. It's sent November 5th, 2020. That's like making me tear up. To Jamie Rosenberg of Google. It's got Adrian McAllister, Rosie Lipscomb, Katie Lee, and Yuki Richardson. I'm so sorry. I don't think I said this shit right. To Google, of Google. I'm sorry. Your names aren't shit. That's my bad. It's got these people of Google CC. The subject is regarding carrier RSAs. And it says, attorney-client privilege and confidential. Okay. And it says, Rosie, I would appreciate your advice on the below, as well as outside counsel perspective on this. Thank you, Jamie. I have been thinking about this a lot and making sure we are not exposing search or assistant unnecessarily. And here is my argument in defense of redacted revenue share. I looked at all the sources of traffic on the device and what protections we have. I am working with, I'm assuming this is a name here. I'm working with Shooting on Yuki's team to develop this better. I'm so sorry if I said that wrong. But here's where we were landing roughly. 1. MADA protects the widget on the device, and then it's redacted. 2. Redacted RSA ensures Chrome is in the hot seat or set as default browser on the carrier devices as well. Redacted, who knows. And then it says the rest of the traffic is redacted, which would be not protected on carrier devices in the absence of the RSA. And then it says, this leaves the pretty generous case, only about redacted of the search revenue of the device to any rival who wants to buy us out. Even if the rival monetizes as well as Google, it will be hard for them to overcome our redacted revenue share offer, as they would have to give up, at the minimum, redacted of their monetization. We also have a similar slide in the older BC decks that also adds assistant considerations here, but still comes to the conclusion that at redacted, we are offering the most attractive deal to the carriers. Please let me know if this makes sense. Thank you, Anna. And then I think before that, let me double check the time here. Yeah. So before that, Jamie Rosenberg of Google had said, attorney-client privileged, seeks advice of counsel. Rosie, Kate, would be grateful for your thoughts here. I've been thinking about our new approach to the United States carrier RSAs, both in the context of today's BC review, as well as the revised structures for redacted. While we tweak the structures to solve for multiple things, one thing I want to make sure we don't lose sight of is the need to promote our search access points on new devices. This is also a question we'll get from the search team. In that context, I'm wondering about the rationale for educating? I'm wondering about the rationale for reducing new devices from redacted, and then there's some other stuff redacted here, and it says, I think the search team will say that's fine, as long as, in the device-by-device world we're entering, we don't increase the chances that our economics on those devices are not competitive versus what rivals are offering. Would be interested to hear your thoughts on that. It's been nagging at me. Thanks, Jamie. And that is it. So yeah, this email chain is basically where they are, it doesn't really show the exact numbers because it's redacted, but they're basically saying because we rely on this for a source of traffic, then we need these agreements to protect that revenue. In my opinion, is kind of what they were saying here, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just me. And then let's see, let's do one more, and then I might need to go do some shit. But so exhibit number UPX0161, and this is an email from Christian Veer of Google to Michael Murphy of Google regarding the BC deal review. Agenda for Wednesday, June 19th, and Thursday, June 20th, 2019, with the attached Google document BC GDAF, Google Distribution on Android Framework, Evolution of RSA Deals, BC 19019, and it's uploaded May 6, 2019. I'm not uploaded, it's dated May 6, 2019, and it's uploaded November 27, 2023. So yeah, I don't know what the fuck BC means here, to be honest. So yeah. Okay, so this starts off with a message from Christian Veer of Google. It was sent June 20th, 2019. And it's sent to Michael Murphy of Google, Adam Schwartzwald of Google, Christian Kramer of Google, Jim Kalatoros of Google, Paul, is this Janai of Google, as well as Anna Kartasheva of Google. The subject is regarding the BC deal review, agenda for Wednesday, June 19th, and Thursday, June 20th, my bad. And it says privileged. It says, hi Mike, Bibbin, and Adam. Quick follow-up, read your question, GDAF deal representatives, and no more than 3 deal team representatives, and trying to clarify some confusion or contradictions between the mail below and the current Google Calendar invite. And so A, it says P and E. Below, I don't know if I said that right, asked whether Paul Janai or I would attend in addition to Anna Kartasheva, main presenter. Anna and I will. Paul will skip. Hiroshi and Jamie will also be there. Finance. Yuki is listed below, but not invited on the separate goal invite. I think it would be really crucial to have her, but we'll let Christian Kramer make the call. Partnerships. The mail below lists no one from Don's team. On the separate Google Calendar invite, there are 3 invitees from the partnerships team. Jim K., John G., Sydney Lee. I think we should not have this discussion without Jim Kalatoros in the room and leave it up to you and Don to decide how many additional team members they can bring. Thanks, Christian. Okay, so there's two Christians here, Kramer and Veer. And then partly redacted, and it's redacted, and then it shows, I guess it's an agenda here, and it says, item number 2 here, GDAF materials. It says reason for BC review, minimum guarantee, change to program, asks for BC, mobile search revenue share of redacted billion, I think, in total in 2020, plus redacted million to previously approved in 2016, growing to redacted billion plus redacted million in 2023 across search and play for carriers and non-Samsung operating equipment manufacturers. And then it's redacted. And then it shows deal representatives. Hiroshi Lockheimer, Senior Vice President of Platforms and Ecosystems. Okay, I guess that's what the P and E means before platform and ecosystem. Jamie Rosenberg, VP of Android and Comms, I guess communications. Then it says Paul Janai or Christian Veer, confirming now, Product Management Director, Director of Platforms and Ecosystem Strategy. Anna Kartasheva, Senior Manager, Platforms and Ecosystem Strategy. Kate Lee, Director, Android and Play Business Legal. Yuki Richardson, Finance Lead, Platforms and Services. Rationale and supportive deal. Secures platform protections for search and play, and critical apps protections on more devices. And then it's redacted, and it says ability to monetize devices fast is a key concern of growing Chinese operating equipment manufacturers due to their slim HW margins. Today, as device enrollment is low, these partners are not seeing significant value in opting devices into the revenue share agreement. Offering a guarantee will allow Google to ramp up the revenue share agreement coverage in the next few months. Sharing play revenue shares, Sharing play revenue share minimizes the risk of operating equipment manufacturers seeing the -1 screen and 1P App Store as attractive additional revenue share streams. I don't think I meant to say share there. There's no share there, but whatever. Additional revenue streams is what it said. And then it lists Michael Murphy as a bullet point here, and it says Risk Management and Compliance Global Lead. And then it shows BC GDAF, Google Distribution on Android Framework, Evolution of RSA Deals, BC 19019. I don't know what the fuck BC means here. I don't know. Business correspondent? I don't know. Anyway, try to find. So then it says basic information. Sides we are planning to present here. Representatives: Hiroshi, Jamero, Pijanat, Sevier, Kartasheva. Okay, these are just, oh my bad, I'm sorry. These are, Jamie Rowe is what they meant, not Jamiro. The fuck am I saying? These are like shorthanded versions of their names. The primary presenter, Anna Kartasheva. My bad. Summary document of previous related submission. Reason for escalation. Revenue share. Minimum guarantee. Non-standard exclusivity or commitment. Products. Ads. Assistant. Android, Chrome, and or Play. Search. Discover -1. Google Board. Whatever the fuck that means. Organizations. Platforms and ecosystems. Ads. Google Mobile Services. Regions. Globals. And it shows detailed information. The term or length for months is 24. The ask is confidential. The rationale partly is confidential, but what we can see here says search and assistant. EC ruling created opportunity for rivals to secure full search exclusivity on devices and EEA. I forgot what the fuck EEA means, but doesn't that mean something about Europe? I don't know. Anyway, and then it's redacted. And then there's more redacted shit here. Okie dokie. What's not redacted? It says the percentage of devices covered with protections for search, feed, play, and assistant. And for expected performance, it says increased revenue share agreement device coverage from the current redacted to the redacted. And then for cross-functional stakeholder feedback, for function, it's required stakeholders shown in green, and feedback and comments, it says please enter ODAP, please enter comments. Okay, so I guess they were going to enter some stuff here, but they didn't. I don't know. But yeah, so the rest of this is redacted, and that looks like it's redacted. It looks like that's it. But it looks like what's not redacted of this document, what they're basically saying, they're trying to figure out how many people that they need at the meeting regarding this deal. And then what's available from here, from the rationale in support of the deal, we can see here they're looking at that this is what this is allows them to ability to monetize devices fast. That's the relevance of this deal. Um, and ramping is monetizing devices, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? As it impacts their revenue stream. So yeah. So that kind of sums up. Today we just got through 4 things. Today's gonna be a quicker live stream because I gotta get some shit done. But so today we went through. Let's check this out here. What did we go through? The Google presentation on the Android commercial agreements. We started off with that. And that Google presentation really hammered down the what were the benefits that Android and not Android that Google got out of doing these deals, and it compared that with what does the operating equipment manufacturer get out of it, what does the carrier get out of it, what does the consumer get out of it, and they took all that into consideration along with the timeline of the technological developments of everything in relation to it, and they took all of that into consideration and to how are they going to negotiate in the revenue share agreement based on what are the pros and cons for all of the stakeholders. You know what I'm saying? And that's what that presentation was. But it also shows too, like they were saying that they were doing this for the exclusivity and the default settings, in my opinion, as well in that agreement, in that presentation on those agreements, I mean. Um, and then after that, we looked at an email from Google to Samsung. We looked at so that was the Google presentation on the Android commercial agreements executive discussion that I just said. Next up, we looked at the email from Helen Tsao, Google, to Andrew Hung of Samsung, and that was about their violation. I don't know enough about the legalese and the technicalities of what specifically they did wrong, but basically they were saying, look, you're violating the revenue share agreement, and when you do that, we don't pay you as much money, bitch, so get your shit together. That's not literally what she said. That's basically what I took from it. You know what I'm saying? And then we looked at an email from Anna Kartasheva of Google to Jamie Rosenberg of Google regarding the carrier revenue share agreements. And in there, they were basically saying that uh, they they were looking at what the MADA and the RSA protects, and how they need these agreements to help them monetize on the traffic sources that they get. Um, and so that's kind of what I took from that. Like they were relying on these agreements to protect their traffic sources. You know what I'm saying? So that way they can continue making their money. Um, and then we finished up with one more email from Christian Veer of Google to Michael Murphy of Google regarding the BC deal review, and it also included an agenda for Wednesday, June 19th and Thursday, June 20th, but most of that agenda was redacted. And it had an attached Google document on BC GDAF, Google distribution on Android framework, and the evolution of RSA deals. And so that was the last thing that we looked at here. And it basically kind of showed like they were discussing who should be involved in a meeting, when were they going to have like this meeting and stuff like that. Like, so they were arranging and scheduling the meeting. And in here, they also discussed rationale in support of the deal. They were basically admitting again, in my opinion, that this was part of where they're relying on revenue streams and that they needed this for additional revenue. And so that was their main priority there, in my opinion. So, yeah. So from these 4 documents, we're really seeing where Google is admitting, like, yeah, the whole fucking point of these deals are for the revenue and for the exclusivity and the default settings, which is how we are basing our monetization. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, fucking, that was kind of like, in a nutshell, what we looked at today with those exhibits and those arguments. So yeah, thank you for joining me today. I don't, if I can go live tomorrow, it will be in the later afternoon or at night if I do, I think. But I probably won't be able to go live again until Monday night, if earliest, if I can go, if I do go live then. Um, so yeah, if I get enough stuff done today, maybe I'll go live again later today. But yeah, I probably won't be able to go live again until tomorrow night or Monday night. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, we're gonna keep doing this bitch. I think I'm looking at and considering trying testing out Twitch. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I won't do it. Maybe I won't do it. Maybe I will. I don't know. Okie dokie. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you. I hope you have a good day. I hope you are safe. Taking care of yourself, being well, and yeah. Alrighty. Bye. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeafchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.